Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. How are you all? This is Sarvatullah from Slamia Boys Higher Secondary School, One Embody. Hope you all fine. I welcome you again for the E class of ninth Standard Social Science. Today we are going to learn History Unit 6, the Middle Age. From this lesson, we are going to learn about the empires of China during the reign of Tang, Song, and Yuan dynasties, and to understand the evolution of Japanese society under the Fujiwara family and Kamakura shogunate, to trace the background of the birth of Islam and to acquire knowledge of Arab and Ottoman empires and their contribution to the spread of Islamic culture, and to analyze the characteristics of feudalism in the Middle Age and to understand the relationship between the state and the church in the Middle Age. So let's we begin the lesson without delay. At the medieval Europe, the period from 600 AD onwards till 1500 AD is known as the medieval age in European history. It did not begin exactly at the same time in all the countries of Europe. Historians divided the medieval period into two halves. From the beginning of the fall of Roman Empire till 1000 AD is called the early medieval age, and from 1000 AD to 1500 AD the later medieval age. The beginning of the medieval age is marked by the fall of Roman Empire. The early medieval period has been termed as the Dark Age because chaos and degeneration became prevalent everywhere. The central authority of the government became weaker and exploitation of the common people increased. The medieval age saw the emergence of a new religion, Islam, which became internationally important. On the political front, medieval Europe saw the rise of the Eastern Roman Empire or Byzantine Empire with its capital at Constantinople. This empire held sway over whole of the East Europe till about 1400 AD. The Romans proved themselves to be great warriors and conquerors. It was because of their daily ability and wisdom that strong rulers had. After the fall of Roman Empire in about 800 AD, Emperor Charlemagne established his power over a vast area comprising modern France, Germany, and a part of Italy. This empire lasted till his death, and by about 1000 AD, another empire called the Holy Roman Empire was established. Thus, towards the end of the 14th century, Europeans' political map had undergone many changes, with many rulers having sway in different parts of Europe at different times. Rome was not built in a day. Similarly, the decline of the Roman Empire was not the work of a sudden or abrupt event, but a long drawn out process spreading over nearly 3 centuries. The death of the Marcus Aurelius in AD 180 was a turning point in the history of the Roman Empire. The safety, security, and integrity of the empire were threatened from within and without. In fact, the steady decline of the empire started from the latter half of the 2nd century. Before the final deadline was drawn in AD 476, Rome did produce successful pilots in the storm in the persons of emperors like Diocletian AD 284 to 305, Constantine I the Great AD 306 to 337, The decline of the mighty Roman Empire of the Caesars was wrought by time and nature, hurricanes and earthquakes. Fires and inundation reduced the works of age into dust. The influx of wealth into country brought in its wake moral degradation. The Romans lost all their old virtues of discipline and duty to the state. The growth of the Christian church formed a state within a state. In policy and action, the church stood against the empire. The political mechanism of Rome with her constitution was quite unsuitable to an empire. A corrupt and expensive bureaucracy further worsened the situation. Rome became a big empire and territorially it became vast and impossible to control. The Romans did not treat their colonial people well. The administration was weak and relaxed. Frequent wars also contributed to her decline. Then, as Roman Empire expanded, trade industry too increased. Colonial people were exploited and their wealth flowed into the capital. Romans gave up hard work and wanted their slaves to work and fight. The empire was a republic in theory, but in practice, Rome began to be governed by emperors. The people lost their freedom of speech, which was so valuable. Senate and General Assembly included wise people. When dictators came to power, sensible became subservient to them. In society, atmosphere became tense and suffocating. The indifferent attitude of masses towards the rulers became a cause for the downfall. There was no regular law of succession under the Roman legal system. The internal disputes action of an alliance and groupism weakened the empire. Thus, vastness of empire, frequent civil wars, luxurious life of Romans, despotism of Roman emperors, confused social atmosphere, high taxes, and invasion of barbaric tribes led to the downfall of the Roman Empire. When the star of the empire was falling into evil days, the stunning blow to the tottering empire was given by the barbarian invasions. These invasions shook up the Roman solidarity. Barbarians like the Goths, Huns, and Vandals poured into the country in large numbers and waited for the most opportune moment to strike at the trunk of the withering empire. Their aim was to loot the people of the conquered territories. The soldier of the barbarian tribes had no love for the country but often revolted against weak rulers. The soldiers of the barbarian tribes have no love for the country. Thus, the barbarian invasion distribute the internal peace. Under this condition, the king failed to realize taxes from the people. They felt unsafe and insecure. In this way, the circumstances bound the king, lord, and the common people to accept the new system of feudalism. An important feature of the Middle Age was feudalism. The word feudalism is derived from the Latin word feud or fief, which means a land held on condition of service. Feudalism was essentially an agrarian peace. The peasants or the farmers were obliged to give a portion of the produce from the land to the lords as rent or taxes, or they had to work on their lands, lord lands, or farm without any payment. Feudalism was an organization of society and its government based on land ownership. According to the system, all lands belonged to the king, who divided the kingdom into several fiefs and gave each fief to a baron or tenant in chief on condition of military and administrative services and other aids to the lord. As the fiefs were granted to bishop and other church dignitaries, they also came under the category of tenants in chief. The king, in his turn, granted protection to them in times of danger. Thus, feudalism was a political arrangement in its origin. The baron, in his turn, subdivided the land into several manors and gave each manor to a subtenant on similar conditions. Thus, the three important features of feudalism were feudal tenure, vassalage, and immunity. Feudalism proved to be a useful institution to protect the people from chaos and anarchy. It brought safety, security, and orderliness to the medieval society. The decentralization of political authority and distribution of power made the way to a new political development, namely parliamentary democracy. In the later centuries, the lining of military and agricultural services with a well graded social hierarchy fixed specific rights and duties upon the rulers and the ruled. The manorial system, an integral economic part of the feudal system, saved Europe from under confusion in the farm front. The exhibition of skill and valor by the knight errants encouraged a spirit of sacrifice and devotion to general cause among all people. Thank you.